Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to dive into the most important configuration in the world of unified communications with Cisco Call Manager Express. We will learn how to configure a dial peer to connect two phone systems located in geographically distant branches. Whether you are in a city and want to connect your company with another branch, today I will show you how to ensure that your calls flow smoothly between different offices. So, if you're ready, stay tuned and discover how to do it. Well, let's start this video by explaining what we have here. Mainly, we have an IP phone, as you can see here, an IP phone 1, which is this phone that I have here. Notice that it has already taken an extension, which is 5001, and over here, I have another phone that is inside this virtual machine in Windows 7 with extension 9001. So, for example, if I try to call the number 9001, I will not get a response from branch 2. So, in this case, we are going to establish or configure a dial peer, which is what will allow us to establish communication between this branch, which is connecting R3 and which obviously has a Cisco Call Manager Express phone system, and with this other one here, which also has another Cisco Call Manager Express. Okay, this device here, as you can see, I go into the menu and preferences, go to the network option, and see that here I am setting the IP address of my Cisco Call Manager Express server, and here I am indicating the loopback adapter. Now let's go to the configuration part. We go to R1, and here what I have done is simple, configure an IP address on Fast Ethernet 0/0. See where it is 192.168.100.1, a Class C address. I obviously brought up the interface, everything is fine here. I will configure the DHCP server. I set IP DHCP, obviously, I am excluding an IP address. Here I excluded this IP address, but that was in case I needed to configure the adapter I just showed you, so if I assigned a static IP address, I would use this IP address to avoid conflict with the DHCP server, in case it tries to assign the same IP address to the phone or something like that. Here I am setting IP DHCP pool VoIP 1, naming it VoIP 1. Here network 192.168.100.0. Obviously, I am indicating that this is the network address. Here I am setting the default gateway, and here it has the option 150 IP 192.168.100.1. Obviously, we have to indicate this here, the option 150 IP, to indicate the IP address of our IP telephony server, to then move on to the configuration part of the system itself. We start with phone service. Here we configure MaxFone 10 and MaxDN 10. Here we are configuring the number of phones and the number of extensions we are going to use. To then indicate the IP address, IP source address, we indicate the IP address of our telephony server, which is 192.168.100.1. Well, see that here I am setting it on port 2000. There is something super important here, and that is when we configure the port on a Cisco Call Manager Express, the port number we configure here has to match with the other end. Okay, then we configure an auto-assign to then configure the extension. We set FONDN1 and indicate the number, 5001. I indicate the name here and the level. The level is for the name of the caller to appear. Obviously, here I have already received the records of when the phone connected, when the registration occurred, and here I also have the IP address, Fast Ethernet 0/1, which I am assigning 10.0.0.1. It is this address here, the one connecting with R2, which is establishing communication between the branches or areas. And here I am configuring OSPF. This is practically a routing configuration. I am adding the network, 10.0.0.0.192.168.100.0, and I am adding the network here, which is the network of this link. That is all I have configured on this device. Let's move to the R2 device. On R2, I have obviously configured the respective addresses for this interface, as well as this interface, the one connecting this branch with this branch, and then simply OSPF. Configuring OSPF here it has obviously already registered or found an adjacency. On R3, I think I still don't have OSPF configured, but we will configure it now. Well, on R3, I practically repeated the same configuration I did on R1, configuring the interfaces and the phone system. Only the IP addresses change. Here, I obviously configured the address 10.0.0.6, which is connecting with R2, and here I have the other one, which is Fast Ethernet 0/1, which is 192.168.50.1. This is the address connecting to the LAN where the IP phones are. I configured the DHCP, as you can see. Here I assigned 192.168.50.0 with its respective mask, a default gateway, option 150 IP with the address of my server. We start the configuration of the system. Max DN10 Max Phone 10 and here the IP source address, which I am setting to 192.168.50.1. Well, here, the auto assignment, and then I configured the extensions. I am setting PhoneDN1, setting number 9001 and the name branch 2, and also setting the level as branch 2. As you can see, here this phone has branch 2. Here it has the extension 9001. Well, here, as I said earlier, we need to configure the routing. Let's set router OSPF1. Network, I have the 10.0.0.40.0.0.3 in area 0 and the network 192.168.50.0.0.0.255 in area 0. Also, see that it has already found the adjacency on the Fast Ethernet interface, which is connecting to R2. We can now say that we have OSPF ready. Now it's time to configure the dial peer. Let's go to R1. We set dial peer, voice. I will set an indicator, a number, which in this case is simply for distinguishing one dial peer from another. Okay, in this case, I set 1 and then the keyword VoIP. Press enter and now let's configure the destination and assign the number we want to connect to, the remote number. In this case, remember that the system on R3 has the number or is assigning numbers that start from 9001, meaning 9 followed by 3 digits. So, we are going to set 9 and then 3 numbers. This tells the dial peer that when the number 9 is dialed followed by 3 digits, it should know where to direct the call. Press enter. We configure the session protocol and set it to SIP version 2. This is also super important. If we set SIP version 2 in one branch, we must also set version 2 of SIP in the other branch. We configure the session target, where we indicate the IPv4 address of our remote system. Okay, in this case, we are here on this system, let's indicate the IP address of the remote system. That would be 192.168.50.1. Press enter. Here we will do some additional configurations, DTMF relay. We configure the codec, set G711 and, well, we can do other configurations like the voice class. I don't think I can configure that on this device, I think not. Lastly, we set no VAD. We have the dial peer configured on this end, which in this case is R1. Now let's go to R3. Let's configure R3. Set dial peer, voice. I will set 2 and the keyword VoIP. Press enter. We configure the destination, and we are on the Cisco Call Manager Express system configured on R3, the one I have here in my virtual machine. These are totally different network segments. When calling from this phone to this phone system, we must indicate that this system uses the extension 5001. So, I will indicate that when the number 5 is pressed followed by 3 digits, it should use the following information that we are going to add. We simply set session protocol, SIP version 2, and set session target. This is the information used in attempting to call where the number 5 is dialed followed by 3 digits. When the number 5 is dialed, the system knows it should direct the call to the information included in the dial peer. Set version 4 and then set the IP address of my remote phone system, the one on R1 in the other branch, which is 192.168.100.1. Then do the other configurations, DTMF relay RT. We set the codec G711, and finally set no VAD, press enter and done. Now we can understand the information we are adding here in the dial peer, which is basically information about the remote systems, that is, the systems we want to reach. In this dial peer R3, we are providing the information normally needed to reach this branch or this phone system located in this branch. We did the same on R1. Let's now test connectivity. Let's open this here, and now I will try to make a call to branch 2 with extension 9001. There it is. The delay we saw is not a communication delay between systems, it is actually a delay due to all the activities on my computer, as I have several virtual machines running simultaneously. When I want to call from branch 2 to branch 1, I can dial 5001 and, as you can see, I am already receiving a call from branch 1. What happens here? When I dial the number 9 on the phone in R1, my router, or rather the Cisco Call Manager Express system, knows it must direct the call to the information I have added here. What is the information? Well, use the SIP version 2 protocol and direct it to the network or IP address 192.168.50.1, which is the address of the remote system. This is basically the most important information about the dial peer. Well, that is quite simple. I hope this video is very useful and see you next time.